Well, good morning to you and happy Monday. Brian here. If you watched my video yesterday, which is Brian versus Cancer, episode 3, you'll note that I messed up. I didn't do the screen recording accurately because I didn't know how. But I took the time last evening and again this morning to find some new tools to help me do it correctly this time. So I'm going to run through here. This video will be pretty short, and I'm going to run through 3 things. I'm going to run through the 16 questions that you must ask before you start your chemotherapy. I'm going to run through Taxol contraindications, and I'm going to run through the photos of the before and after of my what's happened with my treatment. So here we go. 16 questions to ask your oncologist and your doctor team before you start your chemotherapy. And the first and the obvious one is, what type of cancer do you have and what stage is it? So staging, there's 4 stages. Stage 4 always means that the cancer has metastasized, meaning like in my case, it started at the back of my throat and then metastasized to the to my lymph node here on the side of my neck, and eventually to my liver. Therefore, it's stage 4. So you need to know that. What are the treatment options, and what do you recommend, doc, and why are you recommending these particular treatment options? And you make them tell you. Make them tell you specifically, because they'll give you a pat answer. If you just kind of ask like, and you don't dig down into it, they'll give you a pat answer which will be less than satisfying and which doesn't have all the information that you need to make the best choice. What are the potential side effects of the treatment? How are you going to feel day in and day out? Are you going to get sick? Are you going to lose your hair? Are you going to have nausea? You're going to have problem with your bowels? What's going on? And you want to know what are the possibilities before you jump into it. What's the goal? What's the goal of the treatment? Is it curative? Are you and your doctors trying to cure your cancer, or is it palliative, meaning that we're just trying to keep your life comfortable until you pass because they believe that the cancer is terminal? Now, let me say one thing about this. There are many, many, many cases of people being healed 100% from what they were told was incurable cancer. Some people have been told, oh, you've got 3 months to live, you've got a year to live, whatever. And they actually, by the grace of God, they beat their cancer. So it's good to know what the goal of the treatment is, but always give it over to God. Always give it over to God, because He's the great physician, and it doesn't matter the situation. What the doctors say is much less important than what God says, and also very important is your attitude. Your mental and emotional state will make a huge difference in your outcome. What's your prognosis? Question number 5. What are the survival rates for this type and stage of cancer? How will the treatment affect your daily life? Will you be able to work? Will you be able to study? In my case, I was hospitalized for 11 out of 14 days, so it had a dramatic effect on my ability to perform any kind of normal function. Now, that was in the first month of treatment. Later on, we figured out what we had to do to so that I could tolerate the treatment. So what kind of life are you going to be able to have? And that's very important for you to know, because it affects the whole family. And when I say it affects the family, it affects your spouse if you're married, it affects any other one who's significant in your life, affects your children, your grandchildren, anyone that you're close to. How often will you need to come in for treatments or checkups? In my case, I'm going in once a week, pretty much once a week. I'm going in, not necessarily to get the chemo treatment, but to get checkups and to get blood draws. What kind of lifestyle changes are you going to have? What are your diet? Your diet's going to be very important. Um, One thing I'll say about diet is it's been shown that cancer thrives on sugar. So you need to really seriously cut back your sugar because cancer cells seem to love the sugar. What support services will be available to you and your family? So these are things like transportation services, meal services, counseling, um, grief counseling, any other counseling that might be available. These depend upon your insurance by and large, whether you have private insurance such as Blue Cross or whether you have Medicare, which is for the retired folks, or Medicaid, which are for people of lesser financial means. So how much are you going to have to come out of pocket? And that'll be part of what we talk about here in a minute. Should you get a second opinion? The answer is yes. Okay, I put that down there just to kind of bring it to mind. In some cases, a third opinion is going to be called for. You really want a care team, and you want to talk to, by the way, if you are, for instance, I'm a heart patient, and so I got my cardiologist involved in the discussions so that the cardiologist and the oncologist were talking to each other. That would not have happened except that I directly connected them to one another. So that's important to do on the second opinion. What cost should you expect? How much you're going to have to go out of pocket? They probably won't tell you that, or you'll have a hard time getting that out of them because billing is quite complex and the doctors don't really know. You'll probably have to deal with the billing department of the hospital or the facility where you're getting your cancer treatment. A good facility should be able to analyze your insurance and tell you what your maximum out of pocket is going to be. Okay. What are the side effects? What side effects could you have immediately? And if you have those side effects, who should I call? Like on my very first treatment, I received a drug called 5-FU. I had a very bad reaction to it. I had a pump, which was pumping the drug into me. It was supposed to be on for 4 days. I lasted a day and a half, and I had to go into the heart unit, into the emergency room, call the ambulance. So be aware that those things can happen. Are there any contraindications? No, contraindications are different than side effects. Side effects are normal things that you could expect are going to happen, such as hair loss, nausea, loss of appetite, those kind of things. Contraindications are medical conditions that you have or certain genes or enzymes that you do or do not have in your body that are going to cause you perhaps even death. And in some of these cases, some of these drugs, in fact, almost all of these drugs, can cause death under the right circumstances. Not to scare you, but you have to ask the questions and know what you're going in and keep asking the questions. Who should I contact in between appointments? The doctors are very busy. The oncologists are seeing 20, 30 patients a day, 4 or 5 days a week. You're not going to be able to get a hold of them. But they will have a navigator or a contact person or a scheduler or someone on their staff that you can talk to. So those are the 16 questions that you will want to go through and make sure you get good answers to, okay? Next, remember to take detailed notes, and if possible, record the notes. There's great apps that you can use on your phones to record. I recorded mine. Always ask for permission to record so that it's full disclosure and everybody knows what's going on. Take someone with you. In my case, my son-in-law went with me, one of my son-in-laws went with me, and one of my brothers went with me. And so they were able to come up with questions that kind of I was in shock really because I did not see this coming. And so they were good at sussing out questions that I didn't necessarily think about. And then ask for clarifications on anything that you don't understand at all. So those are the 16 questions. Next, we'll move on to the Taxol drug. So you can Google this yourself or Bing it like I did here. I use the term Taxol contraindications. I'm talking about Taxol here, but you can put the name of any drug that you're receiving, and what the hospital or your physician should give you are flyers, or at a minimum, a name of the drug. And you should take every single drug that they're giving you and look it up. In my case, I'm getting 3 main chemo drugs. One's Taxol, another one is called carboplatin, and the third isn't really a chemo drug, it's an immunotherapy drug called Keytruda. And all of those have different contraindications, and all of them have different side effects. It's up to you. It's not up to the doctor. It should be up to the doctor theoretically, but you know your body better than the doctor does, so you gotta ask. They're also going to give you some other drugs like steroids. They will give you anti-nausea medications. Look all of those up too. Yes, it's work, it's research, but what's your life worth? You got to look at this stuff and take a good look. I'm not going to read all through this because you can go to Taxol contraindications, or you can go through contraindications for any drug that you may be receiving. And so then you can look these up for yourself. So let's go here. Let's take a look at the before and after pictures. So this picture here with the big lump and the blue line, this picture was taken on May the 4th. This is the metastatic cancer that moved from the back of my throat here to this area on my neck, and you can see it's quite large. And then 2 months later, this picture was taken on the 4th of July, and you can see it's gone. And actually also they put a scope down my nostril and looked down the back of my throat. And not only has this neck cancer receded, it appears to be 100%, but the throat cancer has also receded 60 or 70% estimating, so we'll see. Anyway, that's it for this video. I wanted to get you up to date. I'm sorry that I made the error the first time, and I'll make more errors. I've made plenty of errors in my life. So thank you for bearing with me. Have a great day, everyone. God bless you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.